Hello everyone, this is the second episode for Thinking Wealth, where we're going to be discussing cryptos. Right, it's clearly a very big topic to discuss, a current one that's exploded very recently again. So yeah, Al, do you want to talk us through when you got involved in cryptocurrency specifically?
2017 was the first time I bought any. I bought BSV at the time, which is Bitcoin Satoshi version or something like that it's called, which is like a branch off of Bitcoin Cash, I think. And that did very well. I put like $6,000 in. It went up to like 36 grand. I took out about 10 grand. And then the early 2018 market crash happened. So although I made a little bit of money, it wasn't even enough to max out my capital gains allowance, you know what I mean? It wasn't a lot of money that I made at that point, but then so I sort of had a nasty taste in my mouth from there, but I saw how much potential there was in it when it nearly 5-6 folded, but then it had a 90% dip, so I saw that the pros and the cons to it at that point.
But I suppose on the flip side of that, you can take great confidence now knowing when you got into it, similar to myself in 2017, I bought right at the height of 2017 bull run, which was about $17,500 a coin. I was speaking to somebody the other day and they said, oh, you must have done really well then out of all this if you got into Bitcoin in 2017. But I got in right at the height and only a very low amount at the time that I'd put into it. But as I say, the confidence I now have, looking back, when you see where the price is now of Bitcoin to where it was at the height of 2017, just shows that this isn't no quick, in my opinion, this is no quick bubble-like investment. This is here to stay. You can see it everywhere you look, how everybody seems to be adopting it now. I think PayPal, I think Apple Pay, have some form of payment through it as well. It is here to stay and you're not too late. I think again people think they are too late getting into it at this stage because recently it had another all-time high of $64,000 a coin. If you are interested, get involved. I mean it seems to keep moving, there doesn't seem to be any sort of barrier for Bitcoin, and like we said on a previous episode, we're still in the very early stages of it. Not many people know about it still, or if they do, they don't know how to invest in it. So, yeah, I mean, that's where we're at with Bitcoin at the moment. It looks like it's going to keep moving. I think it's hit $1 trillion market cap over recent times. It's crazy. It's gone mad.
Cryptocurrency market is now just over $2.11 trillion for the full cryptocurrency market cap now. And with the amount of alternative coins, altcoins they call them, I can only see that number growing in the long term. Yeah, it's going to be volatile up and down because it's new. Anything new is.
Yeah.
But long term, if you go historically, now I use that term lightly because
it's only been about 10 years.
It's only around 12. I think it's 12 years Bitcoin. If you'd have bought, 5 Bitcoin, it'd have probably cost you, I don't even know what it was, like 20 cents or 30 cents or something.
Something daft on it, yeah.
If you were around, let's say you bought 5, you'd be $250,000 now. So it's just obscene how quickly this has grown. I think the gold market cap is 12 trillion. Now crypto's done it is at 2.1 trillion in 12 years. Gold's been around since we started agriculture, really, which is like 12,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So is there a possibility that Bitcoin could swallow gold? I think it's possible.
I don't think there's a doubt that it's a possibility. It's a fascinating market to get involved in, and I think if you're not in it now in some form, I don't know what you're doing.
Nah,
you've got to get involved.
You have, man. Like the UK. Obviously, we're both UK. If we have American followers here, it will be very similar in America and elsewhere around the world. But the UK government come out a couple of weeks ago and said they're looking at a digital British pound, and it's like, well, that's fine, but there's already thousands of the alternative coins. It's only because people believe that the UK government have their best interests at heart that people believe in currency anyway. So where are we going to go? Is Bitcoin going to become the gold standard to these national currencies?
Quite possibly. I mean, there's enough money in it for that to be the case. There's certainly enough value in it. I suppose it remains to be seen where it goes, where it leads.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know what we can say now.
Let's talk about some of the coins that have performed well for you in the past, without going into too much detail on how much money you've made on them and stuff.
So yeah, I've been involved with the privacy coins, Pirate Chain, Monero.
Say that again,
Monero, Pirate Chain. They're both privacy coins, which again, as we've alluded to previously, we are under attack in a lot of senses, personally. Data, what we can and can't do. I'd be absolutely amazed if Google doesn't know everything about me already by now. And these coins give us that bit of privacy that people crave and people want, and freedoms are diminishing by the look of it before our very eyes. So, yeah, the technology behind a lot of these altcoins is fascinating. And I think, to be honest, that really is, for me, where my sort of main interest is at this moment in time, is seeing how fast the technology is being created and how fast everything seems to be moving. That these opportunities, like Pirate Chain, which has exploded over recent weeks, that won't be the last one. The technology is moving that quick that new cryptocurrencies are being created all the time. Whereas I could have paid my mortgage off if I'd have sold at the right price last week. It's not a big concern. There's more of these opportunities coming up.
I think it's one of the biggest wealth transfers. Even if you think it's a complete scam, even if you think that, which it isn't at all, but just suppose it was a complete scam and a complete Ponzi scheme, which is what people like to talk about. Even if it was, you can still get in, make a load of money and then get out again.
Yeah.
Now that isn't something we'd suggest at all, and it isn't a scam, it isn't a Ponzi scheme. Saying that, the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world is the stock market. So if you want to talk about Ponzi's, all we have to do is look there. It requires more and more money coming into it to keep it all afloat. So you've got the technology behind it, such as Ethereum, for example. They're calling it like the Internet 2.0. Everything's being built on Ethereum. Well, not everything, but a lot is being built on Ethereum. Now, that's at the moment just shy of $2,800 at the moment. And Bitcoin's up at just shy of $55,000. Ethereum, for example, in my opinion, has got a long way to go. And the more money that the US government print as the default currency of the world, the higher these things are going to go.
Yeah.
Because there's more money in the circulation.
I think, is it worth at this point, because talking of Ethereum and other coins like that, is it worth at this point talking about mindset around investing? I think, again, it's something we've mentioned previously. Yeah, FOMO, for example, fear of missing out on the opportunity of making decent money out of cryptocurrencies. These are still new coins, we're talking years, not centuries like other investments. These are years that we're talking about that these have been around for, and it's still very early, very, very early on. So the potential is still there. I think a lot of people have got themselves in the mindset of, I've arrived too late, my chance has gone, and that simply isn't the case. Yeah,
FOMO is a fear of missing out, that is. That's what a lot of people have got right now. So they're seeing all the success stories without seeing any of the hardship stories that have come before that. And they're thinking, all these returns have been made, there's nothing left in it. That does not exist. That's incorrect. That's just the human ego that is trying to put itself into categories. It's not real. There's opportunities every single hour. Never mind every day. Every hour there's opportunities there.
Yeah.
There's if you're a day trader, for example, which once again I don't do. I couldn't recommend doing that. But I know people who are day trading just Bitcoin and into other coins and then flipping it back to Bitcoin, who are making fortunes off these things.
Yeah.
So you can do it, and anybody can do it. You don't need loads of money to get into crypto. I bought £4,000 of a certain coin. I bought that in February. That's now at £22,000. There's a lot of people who've got £4,000 in savings that's just sitting there doing nothing.
It's crazy.
You could buy a house with that 22 grand as a deposit now. So things are vastly changing now, and it's more accessible than ever before.
You think, I've got 2 children, you know, you think of children's savings accounts, like the building societies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't even bear thinking about. I mean, we've not even touched on the coins where you get paid interest as well. You know, we've not spoken about those.
No.
You know, the possibilities with it are endless. I know that's a bit of a cliche. I don't need to sell you this. You've just got to look yourself and you'll see how successful people are with day trading Bitcoin and buying and holding it, full stop.
Mm-hmm.
Should we get into sort of altcoins? You want to touch on any altcoins, mate?
Yeah. Yourself? I mean, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about like what specific coins that we've looked at, or?
Yeah, I think that's worth doing. Yeah.
Okay, so
talk us through your most successful altcoin that you've invested in over recent times.
Well, because of the technology and what it actually stands for, my favourite coins is Monero. That's my favourite coin, just because it's a privacy coin. Governments and everything and other people can't track where the money's come from and where it's gone to. Will, you know, criminal activity take place? Probably. But doesn't criminal activity take place with cash right now?
Exactly.
HSBC got fined, was it billions or hundreds of millions for cleaning dirty money?
And it's forgotten about.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So that's always going to happen, isn't it? You can't get around that. Yeah. But for the people who have got a strong ethical and moral standpoint, I think Monero is a superb coin who just want to protect their own privacy, you know.
Yeah.
And I bought that. My first purchase of Monero was below $40. Today, without looking at it, if I can find it, it's $419 now, right now. So that's over 10x since March last year.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So I mean, £1,000 worth of savings. You can leave it in your bank or a building society, earning 0.5%, or you can just, you say risk it, but that isn't luck.
No.
That's. I looked into the technology.
Exactly.
I looked what it's doing. I look where it's going, and then it's 10x. Then I think that's got a long way to go. I think we could be touching $1,000 a Monero coin fairly soon.
Yeah, the confidence in that market is there for all to see, isn't it? I think 2 weeks ago, there was a day where pretty much every single cryptocurrency was down, and I know for a fact that Pirate Chain and Monero were two of very few that were
boomed, didn't they?
Massively in the green, weren't they? Mm. They were 30-50% up.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself shows the power of a privacy coin as crypto becomes more and more popular, and the way the world seems to be going as well.
Yeah.
So now that's a great example.
Pirate Chain, you've mentioned that a few times. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
But yeah, it's from the same network, isn't it? It's a similar coin. It's a privacy coin. And yeah, I got into that in January this year. I think it was £3,000 or £3,500 I put into that, and it was fairly stagnant for 2 or 3 months. 10% gains here, 10% losses there, and then just over a week ago, it reached an all-time high of about, I think it was at $16.5 a coin.
About that, yeah.
And when you're buying in at like 30 cents a coin, you can see the potential here. I mean, joking aside, perfect world scenario, obviously, and it's unlikely that I would have held out to this point, but if I had have sold at $16.5, I would have cleared my mortgage. I'd have made £180,000 since January.
That's off one coin.
Off one coin. That's just one opportunity. And I think that day where we'd popped down the pub, haven't we, for the first time since the relaxation of lockdown and what have you. And as we were sitting there, I think it was at $12, and when we left, it was at like $16.50. So I'd sold. I could have gone back in at like probably 500 times where I started, and on that same day,
20-30.
I would have made like another 20-30. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
And it's still relatively unknown, that.
Yeah, I mean, people are saying it could get up to $50 a coin. So even now, you're talking...
It's sitting at $7.20 as we speak here now, and I mean, that it was at what, $16.50 was it, top?
Yeah,
something like that?
$16.50, yeah.
So you're less than half of what it was originally. There's some opportunity there, and once again, we buy into the privacy. We don't want government overreach. We don't want people knowing our business and all this. That's why we look at things and coins and tokens such as, Monero and Pirate Chain.
Yeah,
there's others as well that do similar jobs. Another coin that I'm not advising you to buy this, but check it out yourself. There's one called Polygon. It used to be called Matic. Bought some of that in February this year, and it's done 50% over the last 7 days. Now that, once again, that's accessible to anybody. Just £100 into Matic,
exactly,
and you make 50 quid. Now, that isn't life-changing amounts of money, but once you get the grasp of what's going on here and the wealth that can be created real quick, there's no reason you can't invest in these things, just small amounts of money, And
how much fiat currency is about at the moment as well, how readily available that is.
Exactly. But that's the other side of the coin. Are these coins booming because, they hold intrinsic value? Or are they booming in terms of compared to fiat currency, because there's that much fiat currency in the world that's being devalued, and so these are like inflation. You know what I mean?
I think there's a good chance. I mean, if you look at the Bitcoin price of 2 or 3 weeks ago, was it Biden did one of his
capital gains, wasn't he?
Yeah, Biden did one of his speeches where the capital gains was just about to take place, wasn't it? The payment of that was due, I believe, the following week, and it dipped to around 50,000 or just under 50,000 a coin. So you can see how people are starting to really take it seriously now.
Yeah, man. And there's ways that we'll talk about this in our program and our investment hub, how you can secure these so it's not stored on a centralized platform. You can get them offline onto a private wallet so that they're completely safe, can't go missing or anything, which is one of the things that people talk about is it safe on these platforms? It is, but there's safer ways to do it, in the same way as, driving a car has an X% chance of crashing compared to flying is safer to fly than it is to go in the car. It's a similar principle. You can have an offline wallet is more secure than having it on these platforms.
It's like an external hard drive, basically.
Basically, yeah. Costs you £100, but it's worth, the safety of mind. If you end up with 6-7 figures in cryptocurrency profits, you don't want them stored on a third-party centralised exchange. You want them here so you can actually control them. So we'll talk about that a little bit in our...
I think we touched on it a moment ago, talking about fiat currency. Should we talk about how, obviously, the last 12, 18 months, how that's affected everything? Like, you see what they're doing in America, what the money that they're printing over there, and similar in Europe as well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? We're clearly in a bit of a mess, if we put it mildly. What are your thoughts around money, fiat currency, and where that's going?
Yeah, well, there's a big difference between money and currency. They're not the same thing. So you've asked the question there about the money. Fiat currency is not money. We call it money, but it actually isn't. Watch one of my videos on my private YouTube channel about the difference between the two. Currency is it's something that moves. That's why it's called a currency. There's a current in the sea. Whereas money is an actual, you should be able to change it for that holds real value. Fiat currency doesn't have value other than what you believe the government tell you that the value is.
Yeah.
Whereas money is gold, silver, that's been used in the past. And now, in my opinion, cryptocurrency is coming into that arena as well. But the money supply at the moment, I'm just looking at the US Federal Reserve balance sheet here, it's just below, that's $8 trillion. Now that figure can't even be comprehended. No. It's just a number on a screen at this point.
Yeah.
It's just obscene.
I think I hope I get this right, because I found this fascinating to try and get my head around these types of figures. If you convert $1 million into $1 million, £1 million into seconds, it works out to something like 13 days.
Yeah.
If you do the same with $1 billion, it's something like 30 years. If you do the same with $1 trillion, you're talking like thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
So if you put it into that context, it shows you what's going on at the moment and how devastating that will be for your average man on the street, won't it?
Because what people think is that they'll tax people more.
Yeah.
But the tax won't touch that. Won't go anywhere near that. What they're going to have to do is inflate the way out of it. Now, what are people going to do to protect themselves from that inflation? Well, unless you buy hard assets, real estate, precious metals, and in my opinion now, digital real estate, which we could consider cryptocurrency, how are people going to do it?
I don't think there is a way around it, is there? We haven't ever seen anything like this, I don't think.
No.
Not on this scale. I mean, they printed trillions back in 2008, 2009, didn't they?
But that hasn't touched the surface to this.
And again, and all the while, the stock market is still going fairly strong, isn't it?
Yep.
And they talk about crypto being, corrupt. It's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. They bash it every day in your mainstream media. But you've got economies around the world on the floor, and you've got stock markets still doing well.
Yeah, but that's because there's that much money in the society that they have to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
So it goes to Wall Street. You could argue the same for Bitcoin. So they've released that $2,000 check in the US, and it's like, okay, young lads our age, 30 years old, for example, they don't need the money. Where are they going to put it?
There's no better place to put it at the moment, is there?
No. So you go to Bitcoin, you go to the stock market. Where else are you going to put it?
Yeah.
Because you're not getting nothing in the bank or building societies here in the UK,
And then I suppose that then leads into questioning the value of it.
Yeah.
If it's that freely available. And what like you just said, what are they actually doing with it? They're putting it into something else. They're putting it into a different asset class.
Yeah.
Which says a lot, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Because the old ways of doing things are no longer working.
Yeah. As
human beings change, the economy changes, and people are so stuck in what they have done in the past, they still think it's going to work.
And albeit it is fashionable, for want of a better word to use to describe Bitcoin at the moment, but the results are there for all to see, aren't they?
I think the UK was 500 billion printed. I think the US was, 5-6 trillion so far being put into the economy. That isn't money. Money can't do that. There's a finite supply of money. Should be.
Yeah.
But now there isn't a finite infinite. So Bitcoin has got a set amount.
Yeah,
never going to be more than 21 million. Although that can be chopped up into I think it's 8 or 9 decimals. That can never ever be more than that. It's deflationary rather than inflationary, which is for the people, not against the people.
And I think that in itself shows how powerful it is.
I think so.
And again, how you're still very early on in the journey if you're joining now, aren't you? I think that is it another 4 halvings to go?
I can't remember. I don't know, mate. But every halving, it seems like it goes through a price cycle after every halving. But once again, you can read all these graphs, you can listen to all these experts, and you hear so many different things.
Yeah.
That's why I'm an investor rather than a trader, because you just wait long term. And it inevitably, because of poor money management by governments, by central banks, long term with these solid assets, they have to go up.
Yeah.
because currency is becoming worth less.
Exactly.
It's natural process.
Yeah, there's just a natural flow now of money going into cryptocurrency, isn't there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's been around 20, 25, 30 minutes, I think.
Has it?
I think so, yeah. Should we wrap it up?
Wow, that's gone quick, hasn't it?
So that's episode 2. If you like this content, please subscribe and on YouTube, subscribe and do all that other good stuff. Check out the links below. We'll still be creating all the content and putting it on the website right now. So if you just click on that link and register your interest for when we do launch, that would be ideal. And just give us some feedback, man, what you'd like to learn in this investment hub that we're building, because this is for the community. We are part of that community. We're nothing special. We're not teachers, we're not gurus, we're nothing like that. We're just part of you.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking to build here. Any advice or anything that you'd like to give us, please write it below.
Yeah, I think just to emphasise as well, this is to help people get involved who haven't been involved in any form of investment previously. So yeah, get in touch, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yep.